Welcome to our weekly discussion, Moral Side of the News. I'm Shawn Kaelin with the WHAS Crusade for Children. Joining me today, as always, a distinguished panel. Reverend Jason Crosby, Center College. Father John Stoltz, St. Aloysius Catholic Church. Dr. Jamesetta, Ferguson, St. Peter's United Church of Christ. And Rabbi Stan Miles, Louisville Melton School. PGA Championship was held in Louisville this past week. Tragedy hit Friday morning as John Mills was struck and killed crossing Shelbyville Road on his way to work the event. We extend our prayers and condolences to John's family and loved ones. The traffic backup from this tragic accident landed Scottie Scheffler, the #1 golfer in the world, in jail. Here's how ABC News, World News Tonight with David Muir covered the story that night.
Out of the arrest of the world's #1 golfer, Scottie Scheffler, arrested after a confrontation with police in Louisville, Kentucky. They say he dragged an officer with his car while the officer was trying to direct traffic following a fatal accident. Scheffler calling it a misunderstanding tonight. The troubling sight early this morning, Scheffler in handcuffs, being led to a police car, placed under arrest. After leaving the police department, he was back on the golf course. ABC's Trevor Ault from Louisville.
Guys. Tonight, the stunning moment caught on camera. The world's top-ranked golfer, Scottie Scheffler, accused of assaulting a police officer, arrested on his way to tee off at the PGA Championship.
Right now, he's going to jail. Okay? He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it.
It happened at 6 a.m. outside Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville. Police closing down the road after a man was struck and killed by a shuttle bus. ESPN reporter Jeff Darlington watched it unfold, saying Scheffler drove slowly into the median where one officer tried to stop his car.
The police officer had approached Scheffler's car on the driver's side door. The car then proceeded, and then you basically saw the police officer kind of...
Did he fall over?
We saw him sort of disappear behind the car.
According to the police report, the officer suffered pain, swelling, and abrasions to his left wrist and knee and was treated at the hospital. Darlington recording this video as Scheffler was arrested, the golfer asking for his help.
Guys.
Police then taking him to jail in downtown Louisville. Scheffler in an orange jumpsuit for this mugshot, now facing 4 charges, including second-degree assault of a police officer. He was released within hours, in time to tee off, and he played well. After the round, Scheffler telling the reporters he was shocked, but couldn't discuss specifics.
When they got me out of the car, like I said, it was very chaotic, and, I said, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get to my tee time.
But the golfer did say he never meant to disobey police instructions.
It's just a huge misunderstanding this morning. That'll get resolved, I think, fairly quickly.
So panel, this story's been developing throughout the week. Even as we tape this show right now on Thursday afternoon, evidence was released by the police department today with a camera from across the street and from one of their cruisers. And they have since said they are doing a disciplinary action against the officer involved for not having his body camera on. So based on what we know right now, what do you think should happen, and how do you see this playing out?
I think that the real tragedy is a decent, wonderful human being like John Mills losing his life, and the fact that it just seems like, yes, there was rain, yes, there were lots of people, but I wonder how much planning there was to expedite any situation that can occur and deal with it, so that we're not talking about somebody being struck by a tour bus and then somebody, from what I gather, Scheffler was told by police officer A to go here. Police officer went there, where he encountered police officer B, who had no earthly idea that someone had directions to go to where he was, and therein the chaos ensued. And it just seems ill-planned and ill-conceived. I can't believe it, but that they just were not ready to accommodate the number of people in that particular venue, at that point in time. And that is very, very sad. And hopefully there will be a next invitation to Valhalla to host a tournament like the PGA. And by that time, those people who are planning, the local planners, together with the police officials and so on, will simply get their act together.
I think there are a lot of extenuating circumstances going on that day with the weather and the amount of traffic, so I would not want to blame the city officials for what has happened, but what I would hope for is that justice prevails in that situation. And if Mr. Scheffler is guilty, then I would hope that he would be receive the consequences that anybody else would in that situation.
I think one of the things I thought of is the tragedy of the situation of a person dying in that midst. And so I'm, even for a stranger, anyone part of that large group, knowing that it's going to add some of the emotional bit to it as well. That's got to be a part of it. I think that was part of the talk of the city, even the nation, through the day, you know. And so I think that lends a lot to it. As to what else happened, I think that when there's more investigation, more analysis, then I think we'll come to better judgment about that. And I really don't know, even from what little I've read about that, to know what's there. But I'm hoping that good objective analysis happens for the sake of justice.
Well, and this week, today, in fact, the mayor and chief of police held a press conference, and the video footage, as you mentioned, Shawn, was released. I think that given the many unknowns that are out there about what specifically happened that morning, given the circumstances that morning, I recall that it was dark and rainy. People are going out to Valhalla at 4:35 in the morning. It was a tenuous, difficult circumstance. How a member of the Louisville Metro Police Department did not have on his body camera in the year 2024, after all that our city has been through, is very baffling to me. I do not understand it. And the mayor and the chief have taken actions to correct for that particular officer that misdeed. It was a violation of policy. That is going on, that process with that specific officer. And I understand that folks can make mistakes, but I do think that one of the laments and complaints that has come and has been justified by residents of our community has been, let's turn on body cameras. Let us see what is happening. So that everyone is safer. The officer, the public, and this is yet another example whereby if the body camera is on, it protects everyone, including the officer himself.
Absolutely.
Because at the moment, we don't know, or we have not seen as a public, and perhaps investigators who are closer to it don't know what has happened, and that puts everyone in a position where it's more difficult to get to the truth of the matter. It jeopardizes the community's ability in the future to retain a PGA Championship again. And so that is very unfortunate, especially given recent history in our community, given the conversations that we have had, where there has been mutual understanding and common ground that the body cameras, turning those on, are a very simple step that police in our community can take to protect themselves and protect the public. And here we are yet again. Now, I do think it's interesting that some folks who perhaps were less concerned about body cameras being turned on in previous circumstances are now very interested in body cameras being ensured that they're turned on. But whatever the case may be, I think that's low-hanging fruit that needs to systemically be a part of the culture. And clearly it is not something that is culturally normative at this juncture for LMPD. That needs to be rectified for all kinds of circumstances moving forward. And this is yet the most recent example of why that needs to be.
Well said. It's a story that will continue. He's due for arraignment on June 3rd, I believe, which is the Monday following the next topic we're going to talk about, which is the Crusade for Children. But shifting gears now to something that's super important to us here on Moral Side of the News. The WHAS Crusade for Children is just 6 days away. The ministers on this show have a big say in where the money goes that you donate. Crusade kicks off today. Let's meet DJ.
Most of these kids are here from a year to 3 years. Some are here much longer, even a lifetime.
We do a lot of different things. We do everything with them. It's just inspiring to see a little baby go from the NICU to like this big to like that.
So at any given time, we've had children here coming from various children's hospitals around us.
We spend all of our time with them and we watch them grow. We're like their parents. My name is Katie Clements. I'm a nurse at Rockcastle Regional Hospital. I take care of the babies.
Our babies are here for complex medical care, but they're essentially here for this to be their home away from home. My name is Emily Valentine. I'm a physical therapist here at Rockcastle Regional Hospital. I've been here for 17 years. I've worked primarily in respiratory and ventilator care for the last 14.
So a lot of the babies don't have developed lungs, so they're placed on ventilators to breathe.
That ventilator is taking the place of the lungs and doing the work of the lungs. Probably 90% of the babies that come to us suffer from some form of either a tracheal malformation or a tracheal malacia where the trach itself is just not able to stay open on its own, so they need the tracheostomy tube in place.
I think DJ will be really good at track or sports because he's so fast.
DJ was actually born in Louisville and started his medical journey at U of L. He's a kid that came to us at 11 months. He required the trach and the ventilator. He's a little over 3 right now, completely off the ventilator. He's breathing all on his own. He does still require a trach just due to his medical diagnoses, but other than that, he's a happy, healthy 3-year-old. I've been affiliated with the Crusade since I started here. The Crusade was instrumental in us moving from a therapy cart to a full therapy space that encompasses mobility. They were able to provide a big sensory wall for our kids. Some really safe matted areas for the kids to move around and play. We were finding that when these complex kids need to go to a pulmonology appointment or transfer to a higher level of care, we didn't have a great way to transport them in terms of functionality. Through the Crusade, we were able to get pediatric transport systems like this one. This was the first one that we received. We can take this out of the building, safely secure it for transport, and then take them to their appointment. Without the Crusade, we wouldn't have all the extra things that we can kind of go the extra mile for these kids.
This is our new scale bought by the Crusade. We use it for our babies on ventilators, and it's helped with the accuracy of weights, and it makes such a big difference.
Anyone who would like to make a donation or feels drawn to help out the Crusade's mission, I can tell you firsthand that I've seen it year after year after year. They make a huge difference in the lives of children, a huge difference in the role that caregivers can play, and it's just a fantastic organization.
My hope is that the kids all get better and go home to safe, happy families and thrive.
Your donations help save his life, and they continue to make his life better. Panel, I'd like for you each to talk briefly a little bit about your background, how you became involved with the advisory panel, and how it feels to hear from those asking for Crusade funding in the grant hearings and that process.
I guess I'm the veteran sitting here. I've been involved with the Crusade through Moral Side of the News over 25 years. And we've seen great times and we've seen challenges. But the one thing that strikes me is people look at this as WHAS Louisville, and certainly this television and radio station, these are the prime movers in this effort, but also the monies we raise. And when we talk about every penny going for the kids, that's truth. And you can take it to the bank, pun intended. We serve children with special needs, and as the Rockcastle County clip showed, in hospital, we serve children in all 121 counties here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And I venture to say at least half of the counties in the state of Indiana, from the Ohio River up past Indianapolis and all the way to the Illinois border. So it's amazing to see what we do, and it's also amazing to see the good that is caused by the people who are working the Crusade. We go through the grant process, evaluating each grant, and it's really gratifying work, but it's nothing compared to the wonderful, wonderful work done by all of those first responders all over the area with their buckets at the intersections in all sorts of, you name it, they've experienced that type of weather. And hopefully we are able to make a difference for good, as we've done for 71 years so far, and God willing, for many, many years in the future.
Well, I'm probably one of the newest members of this advisory group, and like my colleagues here, I have known about Crusade all of my life, but I did not know of the good work that resulted from the donations until I became a part of the advisory. And so sitting on that committee not only helped me to understand the amount of work that is done throughout the state, but it also gave me a clear understanding of the resources available, not only around the state, but right here in our own community, which is very important to the health of a lot of our people in this community. And so I'm just excited to be a part of this, but we need your help. We need more donations, because out of all of the grants that we review, we would love to do 100% of all of those, but we don't have the resources to do that. But if we can increase donations, then we can give more. and support other organizations that are trying to serve their communities as well.
Well said.
Father Joe Graffis, who's one of the panelists, had asked me to be on the panel of moral side of the news, and then a few years later, as I had experience with that, then he asked me to be on the panel of the advisory board. So I became a part of that. That's been just a real great experience for me, a real privilege. Louisville sometimes is talked about, and people have the vision of being a compassionate city, but knowing the wider range of the Crusade for Children, wouldn't it be nice to think of ourselves as a compassionate region, that is, of the state of Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, as well as much into Indiana and around. And I think of my participation on the advisory board in this great experience is that of being in between the sets of two very compassionate people. We just saw medical professionals and their work with disabled children, and we see a lot of that on the board, and their passion as well as their diligence and creativity in the work that they do. And then on the other side, there's compassion that we don't see directly, but it's the everyday people who give to the crusade, like Jamesetta and like Rabbi, and we all. I want to encourage a great appeal of compassion to support this worthy charity.
Thank you.
Well, I think like most folks, our entree to our role on the advisory panel and hearing grants begins with the moral side. And a lot of us began gathering and talking about current events, sometimes debating, but every time we gather in this space and we have a moral side discussion, regardless as to differing perspectives that might be shared, we walk away, I think, with some renewed, strengthened relationship. And I just mentioned that to say that I think that's also an important part of then the other work we do with the Crusade, because I think it's an important demonstration of a way in which a healthy community can have healthy discourse and disagreement. So it's connected to the Crusade in that way. But then, after serving on the moral side for a season or two, the opportunity to serve on the advisory panel presented itself and get more invested in the Crusade's work, helping children with special needs receive the care and attention they need. For me, it was somewhat nostalgia that encouraged me or prompted me to get involved with the advisory panel hearing the grants. I too have been familiar with the Crusade for about as long as I can be familiar with anything. I remember being 4 or 5 years old and seeing firemen out with boots at traffic lights when I was a child, and I thought that was really cool. So that nostalgia helped me get involved, but what has kept me involved is the cutting edge work that the Crusade is doing right now in 2024 that will have implications for the future. So while the Crusade is a well-established entity in our community in its 71st year now, what's really exciting to me is the way that the Crusade is shaping future generations. In addition to some of what's happening at the Rock Castle Community Medical Center and throughout the region, throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky, in the Louisville community, one thing that the Crusade enables school districts, hospitals, therapy organizations, after-school programs to do is fund innovative care. The new types of autism therapy, the new types of physical therapy that may not exist in our community or other communities if it weren't for some seed money for an employee at an organization or for a program or for some equipment. And so nostalgia got me in the door, as I think is the case for many of us, but what has kept me committed to this work and inspired is the way in which this work is going to shape the next 71 years in our community and beyond.
we've had relationships with some organizations now for close to 70 years. And what's really exciting is if you're working with, let's say a hospital, for example, and we gave them money 20 years ago for a particular piece of equipment to save lives, to save or enhance the lives of special needs children. And that equipment is now being replaced by other equipment. So they come to us and they ask for, well, we've used this piece of equipment, but now there's something better. Will you help us get this other piece of equipment? And it's really, really state of the art. And we're providing that equipment for hospitals and institutions all over the Commonwealth of Kentucky, all over the state of Indiana, where this equipment is unavailable only in the large metropolitan areas and Rockcastle County, Kentucky. And that's really exciting. The children, regardless of where they live, they have access to that healing.
I'll throw in there, and Phil, you're here, you can back me up on this. That is the largest ventilator facility in the country in Rockcastle, and it's supported by the DJ went to Rockcastle from Louisville to get his treatment. And it's all supported by the efforts of the Crusade, and you all seeing the need that they need the money.
And is Rockcastle County in the WHAS viewing area?
No.
That's so important because, you know, yeah, we started 71 years ago right here in Louisville, Kentucky. But our service area is far, far, far larger than the WHAS viewing area.
So Stan, perhaps one helpful thing that folks that might be seeing this, live in Louisville, might be able to do is nudge a cousin, a relative, a friend in Lexington, Paducah, Bowling Green, Covington, Pikeville, Prestonsburg, wherever they may be, Southern Indiana, Franklin, Indiana, up near Indianapolis. Remind folks that Crusade Weekend is coming. If it may not be directly in their purview in the same way that it is for us here in Louisville this week, this is also a good time to maybe send an email, send a text, send a jingle to somebody in Rockcastle County you might know.
I'm going to unabashedly promote something here and now.
We have about 15 seconds.
I bet I know what it is.
Crusade for Children license plates. If you live in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, they're available any place you get your car license plate. Spread the word. And above all, give.
I actually saw one on yesterday, so somebody heard.
Thank you so much to our panel. Crusade Weekend is a week from today. Have a great week. Happy Crusade Weekend.